Today, we're diving into a high-stakes question. Is Germany, one of the world's great industrial powerhouses, actually falling behind in the global tech race?
When you think of Germany, you think of powerhouse engineering, right? Legendary industry. But when it comes to the technologies of the future, is it really keeping pace? That's the central paradox we're exploring today. Okay, let's get into it.
So our guide for this whole thing is a brand new report from Germany's Official Commission on Research and Innovation. You can basically think of it as the most detailed national tech checkup you can possibly get. And believe me, it lays everything out, warts and all.
First up, let's just look at the scorecard. Where is Germany winning, and more importantly, where is it starting to struggle? This quote from the report really just gets right to the heart of the whole issue. The problem isn't a lack of brilliant ideas. Germany is fantastic at academic research. The real challenge is turning all that brainpower into actual market-leading products. It's a problem of application, not invention.
And let's be really clear, in its traditional comfort zones, I'm talking automotive, chemicals, industrial machinery, Germany is still an absolute titan. The research foundations there are rock solid.
And you can see that research muscle right here. Just take a look at scientific papers on climate-neutral energy. Germany is right up there, competing neck and neck with the US, just behind a really dominant China. This is its home turf.
But here's where the story takes a turn. Because when we switch from looking at academic papers to looking at commercial innovation, patents, a very different story starts to emerge, especially in the tech that's going to define the next couple of decades.
And wow, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? This shows patents for artificial intelligence. I mean, just look at that difference. The US and China are in a completely different league. Germany, despite all its research strength, is way behind. That is the innovation gap in action.
So, to sum it all up, Germany is a world-class researcher in its established fields, but there's a serious weakness when it comes to turning that strength into commercial wins in critical future tech like AI. That's the core diagnosis. So, what's the game plan? What is the German government actually planning to do to tackle this pretty big challenge? The official response is a strategy called the High-Tech Agenda Deutschland, or HTAD for short. This is the government's multi-billion euro plan to focus the country's resources and, hopefully, close that innovation gap we've been talking about.
Now, at the heart of this whole strategy is this concept of Schlüsseltechnologies, which translates to key technologies. And these aren't just any technologies. They're the foundational platforms that are going to power innovation across pretty much every industry for years to come. Getting these right is everything.
And here they are, Germany's big bets. The HTID is focusing the country's efforts on 6 specific areas: AI, quantum, microelectronics, biotech, new forms of energy like fusion, and of course, climate-neutral mobility. This is where they believe the future is going to be won or lost.
But a plan is one thing. The expert commission also delivered a pretty tough diagnosis on the underlying problems. So what's really holding Germany back?
The report identifies 3 main brakes on innovation. First, just crippling bureaucracy that slows everything down to a crawl. Second, a major shortage of skilled talent, especially in all things digital. And third, that same persistent problem, a weak link when it comes to getting incredible ideas out of the lab and into the actual market.
So, if that's the diagnosis, what's the cure? Let's take a look at the Commission's prescription for the future.
The experts have laid out a really clear 4-part plan. Step 1, cut the red tape. They're actually calling for an Innovation Freedom Act. Step 2, win the talent war by making it way easier for global experts to immigrate. 3, think bigger. Think European. Create a single set of rules for startups so they can scale across the entire continent without a headache. And finally, number 4, build a sovereign European AI model to compete with the giants in the US and China.
And underpinning all of this is a huge financial commitment. The national goal is to get research and development spending up to an ambitious 3.5% of the entire country's economic output. That's a serious number. Ultimately, the report concludes that what's needed isn't just a bit more money or a few small tweaks. It's a fundamental shift in mindset, a courageous policy that isn't afraid to make some really big bets on the future. And that leaves us with the final critical question. The research is world-class, the industrial base is strong, and the plan is on the table. But can Germany truly bridge that gap between the lab and the marketplace to help write the rules for the next technological era? Well, the race is on.